keep striving for this religion that we preach. Keep pushing, for nothing's ever out of reach. Because the time we keep on driving, it's all that much we go. The time we keep on fighting, and these colors I wear will be sold through the skins of my soul.
Right, and welcome to another edition. We're coming off occasionally for the Luton Town International podcast. Since our last podcast, we've had one example of Americans being supremely stupid, which led to two Trump election wins, strangely. We've had 3 games, I think, since the last one. Don't remember too much about them. We've lost 4 goals to Middlesbrough, and Ireland have had
5
to England.
5. We lost 5 goals to Middlesbrough.
We lost by 4 goals.
Oh, we let in 5 goals.
Yeah, we lost by 4 goals, but if I didn't have that, then I couldn't put in the 5-0 defeat for Ireland.
Mark McGuinness, 2 games, 10 goals conceded. 10 million quid. 10 million quid!
It was probably more like 6 or 7, but anyway, he's your new hero, surely.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, fucking love the guy. By the way, like I noticed you went straight into England versus Ireland. You just couldn't score against us till you got one of our players sent off. Like, how embarrassing is that?
So we got sent off.
You can't score against an 11-man Irish team. You can't score against an 11-man Irish team. You have to get a player sent off before you start racking them up.
What the one he got sent off?
Let me give you a round of applause. Well done.
Okay, as I said, you can probably claim it as a moral victory because you kept us out for sort of,
If I was English, I'd be fucking embarrassed.
Well, yeah, it was only 5. I mean, it could have been 6 or 7. I mean, that would have been probably.
Can't score against an Irish team with 11 players.
Well, I mean, if
Finland do that.
Well, all I can say, if you did decide to lose a player by going in a second yellow by taking out one of our players when he's sort of absolutely clear as day in a penalty.
I mean,
anyway,
yeah, it was
stupid. Should we just stick to the Irish game because
should we just stick to the Irish game because that's gonna be a lot less fucking painful than talking about Luton?
Yeah, pretty much.
No, because I want to ask some questions.
Okay.
My first question is, why is Rob Edwards still in a job?
Okay, the last 3 games
I do want to give some context here. I'm not saying that as in, results have been bad, which they have, and everything. But we all saw the last game and the reaction after the last game. So that's why I'm asking the question. Like, that looked like goodbye.
It did look like a goodbye, yes. I think it's a case of he was feeling very, very down. He's given that interview. He's almost given the green light to sack him. The board are not Watford. They thought, okay, well, also they thought, right. Plus, it'd be really expensive to try and replace anyway. But they obviously thought, right, let's see what they can do. And I think, okay, so the Monday, people are saying, why has nothing come out? Because Remembrance Monday, so it'd be a bit insensitive to tweet anything there. When it's by the time you got to Tuesday, you're thinking, no, they've obviously thought, right, dust has settled. Let's just see how we go. He's not walked in and sort of said, look, why? He may have offered his resignation, I don't know. But he's not said, I'm going. The board has said, yeah, that's fine. Let's try and get this turned around.
How much of this do you think has to do with the payout that he'd receive?
The payout would be substantial, but I don't think that's driving the decisions. I'm thinking it's a case of, right, they say, right, here's a good manager. He's going through a rough thing. I did expect him to be gone. I wasn't calling for gone. And if he was gone, I think that would have been sad from obviously the man who took us up, who gave us everything, and he's going through a rough patch. And I'm not going to sit here and sort of, right, let's call for his head because there's enough people who do that. What I do want, he does look like he's struggling. He does look like it's affecting him a lot. And I hope the 2-week break has actually given him a chance, recharge his battery, and say, right, let's go out there. Let's do Hull.
Well, you'd expect to do Hull, right? At home. Like,
I wouldn't expect to do anybody the way we're playing it.
No, right now, you don't expect to win a game no matter what. But if you're looking at, and the reason why I wanted to start with this topic is at the beginning of the season, if you'd have looked at the next 3 games, you'd have probably said 4 points.
Yeah.
Right? 4 points isn't good enough for Edwards right now. Would you not? Would you like? Am I right in saying that? Like if we got 4 points from the next 3 games, that's not enough.
I think you've just put it sort of there. You said at the start of the season, you're looking to say, right, 4 points. So I think if it was good enough at the start of the season, with the expectation we have, it's certainly good enough now.
See, I don't think so. I think he needs at least 6 just to ease the pressure, just to take the pressure off. And that's why I'm surprised they didn't make a call during the break, during the international break, because you look at it now and we've got 3 games in the space of a week. We got Hull, Leeds, and
Norwich.
And then we have a week off, and then it's pretty much every freaking 3 to 4 days. I think we have 8 games between November 30 and January 1st. So you're talking pretty much nearly a game every 4 days. That's like you're asking a new manager to come into that. That's not probably ideal for a new manager. That's why I thought they'd make the call during the international break.
But here's the question: is the question the manager, or is the question the attitude of some of the players? I mean, luckily I was at an airport, then on a plane. Actually, conceded 2 goals between the time it took me to get to the gate and board the plane against Middlesbrough. So I was actually spared seeing that game. So it's and I'm not masochist enough to actually try and watch it back, because why would I?
I had the pleasure of watching the game, Nick, and I'm extremely fucking jealous of you, the fact that you didn't get to watch it. Like, I wish I hadn't.
Yeah, I saw that. I was following it on Twitter, and it seems to be sort of up until we conceded, it seems to be fairly even. That lineup I thought that's interesting, but it's not necessarily one I'd have gone with, but it was definitely not one I'd have gone with. I'd have put some defensive midfielders there, possibly 2. Seems the Canberra seems to be able to play 90 minutes for Zimbabwe, but about 9 minutes for us. I can understand why you need to rotate something, but I think when you get a midfield like that, that's sort of it's got passing footballers. It doesn't have really a nasty side.
So you said a question. You asked the thing there. You said something there. Is it players underperforming, not having the right attitude, or is it the manager? Realistically, aren't the two tied? Right? Because if you have players that don't have the right attitude and aren't performing correctly, it's up to the manager to be strong enough to deal with that and either get them back playing or move them on and get them like away from the team. So I think the two kind of link together. I don't think you can say it's one or the other. It's both, realistically. And yes, we have had players that have been extremely poor and underperforming. But Edwards hasn't made it easy on himself either. But as you said, not playing Nakamba, who can go away and play 90 minutes for his international team and can play 9 minutes for us. You know, he's not helping himself with some of the decisions he's making. But I do think it's a bit of both. And that again, when I say that to myself, it's a bit of both. It's the players and the manager. How do you fix that during the international break? Like, are we gonna see a team on Saturday against Hull that will sit there and go, oh, okay, or is it just gonna be the same?
Well, we know the teams had it in us. I mean, you've got this sort of, the scum game, the Sunderland game. Even though we lost, that's thinking right at home, they come back. Yeah, we can do this. Cardiff, we were worthy winners onto that one. Wasn't the best game, but we won. We kept them and Cardiff were in form as well. And then it's just obviously you made the changes. I think, okay, I can see why he made changes the 3 games. Those particular changes, defenders obviously don't have too much choice. And I think what everyone is saying is, will you please drop the 5 at the back? So you 5 at the back, it's not what I mean, especially if Alfie's out for which there's various rumours going around, so I don't know how long he'll be out for. But obviously, the 5 at the back is mainly to get Alfie forward to get the crosses in, and he is our most creative source by far, which is a problem if he's missing. But then if you've got 4, you can have Bell at left back, you have McGuinness at centre back, Mengi if he pulls his socks up and remembers he's a player that sort of was attracting Serie A interest rather than one who looks like he should be playing in League 2. Right back, obviously Hashioka's not done too bad since he's come in, but you can then go into midfield. You can play Kraus, you can play Nakamba as kind of as a buttress ones, and so Kraus can spot a pass, put a couple of wingers, and then obviously that does give you the ammunition to get these balls in for 2 strikers.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 strikers, or even if you don't play one off the other. You know, 2 strikers would be ideal, but if you want to play one off the other, still stick with your 4 midfield. You know, Victor Moses is better going forward.
Yeah.
Than he is defending. He is woeful as a freaking right wing back or whatever you want to call him. He's been terrible for us in that position. And then you get Doughty as your left midfielder, which frees him up from having to do some of the up and down defensive work. He'll still do it and protect Bell. But
well, let's assume for now that Doughty is not available.
Okay, but even then, Chong. Like I've been saying for the longest time.
You put Bell at left wing back, you put Chong in a roaming role from the wing, and Mose on the other. They can switch there. You've got those Buttress in centre midfield who can sort of do it. And then hopefully you've got enough there to actually get it through to the front too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got Morris and Eli, who, let's face it, Eli hasn't been great this season, but you expect him to turn around at some point.
And he was showing signs of turning around as well. So
yeah.
And Morris, I think from his apparent reaction when he came on and comments he's made, you probably do need him on the pitch because he's going to give that team a bollocking if no one else is. That's what we're simply missing.
And that's worrying to me. Why is there no one else on the pitch willing to do that? Like, if it's pretty clear Morris is not 100% or hasn't been for most of the season. He's probably carrying a niggling injury. Why is there no one else that we can turn and say, okay, we can rest Morris or bring him off after 60 minutes, or rest him for 60 minutes and bring him on for the last 30 to try and back the game? Why is there no one else we can rely on the team to turn around and give an absolute fucking bollocking to that team? There's no one. It's worrying. It's worrying the lack of leadership.
I mean, the Canberra is captain for Zimbabwe, but I think you get the impression he's too nice a guy and too quiet. And I think it's just because of the type of player he is why he's captain for his country, because maybe they don't have the options. But you look at some of the others who should be doing it. I mean, you want a Tom Lockyer type out there. So McGuinness, he's this big hulking centre back who concedes lots of goals, but he should be shouting, bollocking people. Hashioka would say no. Bell could be shouting and bollocking people. I mean, Bell strikes me fairly quiet. Kraus doesn't seem to be sort of exactly non-vocal. He should be doing it, and those are your main contenders to it.
So you've just mentioned some players there, right? McGuinness, brand new to the team, probably doesn't think he can yet, but really needs to step up and do it. Hashioka hasn't been with the team very long and is probably still learning the language to a certain extent.
Yeah, Hashioka. I'm not suggesting Hashioka is a captain type thing because he's
Kraus the same. That would be my main concern.
Kraus' English seems to be excellent though, so he's he's German, so he can obviously boss people around.
Exactly. But to me, the two people on the team that scream out leaders are two players that you can't rely on right now, and that's Morris because, as I said, I think he's carrying some sort of injury that's not allowing him to play what he would like to play. And the other one is Reece Burke,
who's a game injury, and if Reece Burke is fit, he goes straight in that side.
Yeah, but and then if you start playing forward back, who does Reece go in instead of? You're probably playing with the way things are going right now. You're probably playing instead of Mengi.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we've ranted and raved about how great Mengi is, but it could be a case of he's carrying
not been in the past few games.
No, and it could be a case of he's carrying injuries too. But with the lack of people or options we have at the centre back, he's playing through it. Like I honestly don't think Bell's 100% either. Like, there's a lot of them players out there, especially against Middlesbrough. When I watched the Middlesbrough game, like, I kind of hoped and prayed they weren't 100%. I'm like, okay, 2 weeks, they'll be better as long as no one goes off to Ireland and gets injured. But the way some of them played, you're kind of hoping they were carrying injuries because it was so poor. It was so bad.
I mean, the impression I got was we held our own for sort of, the first 35 minutes, but we conceded. Then it was conceded. It's kind of a stack of cards, and that does seem to be a issue this season. There's a weak underbelly. If you take the lead, it's thinking they're afraid they're going to concede. There's that fear factor that's crept in somehow. So maybe it's a hangover from last season where obviously you're expecting to lose, and then you go into expecting to win. So I don't know. I'm not a psychologist.
Do you think expecting to lose constantly played on the players? Again, I know you're not a psychologist, but going out every week with just enjoy yourself. Now they're going out there and it's like, just enjoy yourself, but it's not working.
I think when he can go out in the Premier League and just enjoy yourself and give it a good go against his players, I think they can enjoy doing that to a certain extent. But then when it comes to right, go out and, by the way, win the game, and let's thinking, right, we're a bit optimistic on our overseas expectations, and then a few results go against you, I think that can get into it. I think the confidence can come in. And then it's sort of, I think then you've got to look beyond the manager as well. You've got to look at the players, you've got to look at the coaches, you've got to look at what else is going on there.
Board? Do you look at the board? So I'm getting at this because there's been a lot of talk of the board didn't back him properly in January and didn't back him properly in the summer.
Yeah, I think people are sort of reaching a little bit there. I mean, the board have been there since we're non-league. They've learned and gone through. And I think people are saying, well, they didn't back him by saying, right, go out and spend 50 million. And that was never, ever, ever going to be on the card. So we have a recruitment strategy that's worked quite well so far. So to go out and spend some millions and millions and millions of players onto that one. And I said, the January stuff, I do not accept that at all. People say, right, had they shown more ambition there, we did not have the injuries in January. We're actually doing quite well. It's only when they started hitting February, we started hitting that rough patch. January was a good month for us. Yeah. So I think that is people looking at the hindsight and trying to shape things to their opinion and to create sort of, social media tweets, whatever.
Do you think because as you said, the board and like they've been through a lot with the club and whatnot, do you think because of that they're being overly cautious?
I don't think they're being overly cautious. I think they're basically saying, right, number one, you make sure you have a club. You do not do what some clubs have done. You don't do what I think Huddersfield done. Sunderland definitely did. Sunderland spent big trying to stay up on the Premier League stuff, and Sunderland struggled badly as a result. So it's kind of right. So keep your head above water. Don't overreach onto it. And I don't see a problem with that. Plus, it obviously does get the stadium built, which is the long-term future of the club. That's more important than going out and pleasing a few fans by spending 50 million quid in a transfer window for players, which that's the other problem as well. In the summer, players were after, I mean, you look at Peterborough, Peterborough was saying they wanted 8 million quid for someone who was playing in League One. And thinking, yeah, he's doing well in League One, but that's a hell of a lot of money for someone who's kind of not even proved at Championship level. Never mind.
So the player I think you're mentioning is Poku for Peterborough.
Yeah,
and I think you're looking at Peterborough probably getting about 20 to 25 million in the next transfer window for him. So he's proved himself at the Championship level as well. I mean, that's one that I look at and kind of go, that's a gamble you might take, especially considering age and whatnot.
Sorry, do you really think someone's going to spend 20, 25 million on a League One player?
No, it looks like they might get up to about 20. Like you're talking add-ons, obviously. You're talking just like the McGuinness thing. You're talking.
It's going to be added. I mean, I think Peterborough likes to sort of, Darren McAnthony. He likes to talk up with players and everything else. I mean, you look at it. Ivan Toney, he was saying, "Oh well, we'll sue them because Ivan Toney had to sell for 4 million. The plan was to get to the Championship, let him score 20 and sell him for 20 million." So Darren McAnthony, but Ian again, he's also tried. Darren McAnthony, just give an example. He's also said the council needs to build them a new stadium so people can go to Peterborough, make a weekend of it, taking a show. He is full of shit.
He may be, but it looks like he might get ultimately what he held out for. And I don't think it was just Luton that refused the fee. I think there was a number of other Championship teams that refused to pay the fee as well. So I don't think it's just us. The reason I ask you about the off season is you look at the off season and right now, and it doesn't look great. Obviously, because of the position we're in.
Hmm.
What do you like? You look at the players that came in during the summer. Like, is there anyone that stands out to you and goes, "Yeah, I could, yeah, I can see why. I can see why we got them."
No,
yeah.
But, however, which players are you saying you turned around and said no, we shouldn't have been signing him?
I don't know if I turn around and say, no, we shouldn't be signing them. McGuinness one doesn't look like a good deal right now.
But McGuinness, you think, will have the potential there. I think he's just had a rough start, and it's...
You hope he has. You hope he has the potential.
Yeah.
You hope he has potential. To me, if we're bringing in free transfers, I would have preferred us gone... I would have preferred us gone a different route of not getting free transfers, but looking at hidden gems within the lower leagues. Like we got in Sheldon Baptiste, and I don't know how many games he's played this season, but he's maybe looked good in one. You know,
I
Liam
think
Walsh.
he has
Liam
injury
Walsh.
problems. I mean, he's actually a Premier League quality player. The reason we've got him is because he's injury prone, and that's
Exactly.
It's like Henry Lansbury a couple of years ago. The reason we had him, and he is Premier League quality, was because of an injury record, and sometimes you mix and match a few in there. Liam Walsh is another one within that category as well. So we're complaining. So people complain on one hand.
Is Liam Walsh Premier League quality? Because last season he was playing for Swansea down in the bottom of the Championship.
He's in injury issues. I think if you look at it, I think it's his injury issues have caused issues throughout his career. So
see, I don't see him as a Premier League quality player at all. Like, he's got some nice touches, but I could never foresee him. Like, I don't want to say I can never see him playing in the Premier League, because obviously if Luton were to go up while his contract's here, he could be a Premier League player. But I don't foresee a Premier League team like ever taking a shot on him, like injury prone or not. Like, there's just not enough about him, I don't think. You know, Baptiste, I get. Yes, they're the sort of deals that like a team like Luton is always going to do. Oh, they've had a few injury problems. We think we can fix that. We can get him on a free transfer. We only have to pay their wages. He is someone who is probably a lower half of the Premier League caliber player. But the gamble you're taking with that, and it's a gamble that Luton seem to have always taken. It's a gamble of, you know, okay, we're hoping. Like, it's a hope. It's a hope that we.
I mean, we're back in the Championship there, so we are not going to be signing upper Premier League players, echelon players. I mean, even Ross Barkley, when we signed him, that was a few raised eyebrows, but it was thinking, right, is he washed out? Which he wasn't.
But this is like, I'm not talking about just the last year either. I'm talking about, you go back to even our non-league days, and we were signing players from like that were released by League 2 teams or lower end League 1 teams. And the reason they were getting released is because injury problems. And then we're taking gambles on them. Like, a few of them, like the ones that obviously Goodrich is one. But the ones that spring to mind, yeah, that one worked out quite well. But the ones that obviously spring to your mind straight away, Goodrich's obviously for you. But the ones that like just scream out at me is, and maybe it's just the negativity, is Spiller and Richards.
Well, that was different. I mean, Spiller's basically, it was.
Be careful.
Spiller somehow. No, fuck it. Spiller fakes his medical.
Nick's opinion. But you know what I mean? Like,
allegedly, Spiller faked his medical, knew he would never play again, and basically turned his bring it into a giant Herbalife sort of treat. Richards was along that. Richards, though, I think if you look to those ones going back, Richards, when released, the club were quite regretful when they released him and said, unfortunately, they said, look, this happened, they've got duty care. Spiller, they were really quite scathing about. Well, they were scathing in the fact they didn't say much.
They didn't say anything. Yeah, they didn't say anything.
You pick up the nuances there.
But that's always the gamble you take with those players, right? And yes, some will work out like Goodrich did, and some won't. You know, and that's the game you play, and that's unfortunately I think that's kind of the model that Luton have fallen into, is we're gonna take these gambles, we're gonna try it.
We took a gamble with Barkley, did we not?
We took a gamble with Barkley, and Barkley almost worked out. Was very, very close to working out. But I mean, to me, the off season, the summer transfer business, I think we've got extremely unlucky.
I mean, I think with the hindsight stuff, because on one hand, there's some people saying, why are we signing free transfers? On the other hand, people saying, why have we spent that much money on McGuinness? So if you don't spend any money, people are saying, why have we done that? If you spend sort of what you say would be over the odds at the moment, people are saying, well, why have we done that?
So Batista, I think the injury problems, obviously, I think we've been unlucky in that case. Walsh, like, Walsh has a good touch, and he's good on the ball. But again, as I said,
he get himself sent off in 9 seconds.
He's a record holder at the club. I don't see that. I don't see the Walsh. Like, I probably wouldn't have done that. The Wouters one, I agree with it, but I think it was one of these things where it was done for the future, and because of everything that had gone on in injuries, it was kind of had to work straight away. And he's had some games where he's looked decent, and he's had some games where he has not looked ready for this level at all.
And I think, I mean, to be fair, the one way he's not looked ready was when he was put at left back, strangely, when Doughty was on the pitch.
I'd go too.
And he was probably playing with a broken foot as well.
Yeah, so I'd go too. I'd go that game, and you give him kind of like a little bit of leeway for that because it came out that he was playing with a broken foot. The other game was the Burnley game to start the season, where I don't think any of the back three held themselves in any regard.
Well, there was absolutely no experience that back three whatsoever going into it.
They're the two games where I think he's just looked like this level is just above him. And then there's games where he's looked like, okay, he looks like he's settling in, then he gets injured. The McGuinness, like obviously the club never released anything, so we don't know how much exactly, but it's rumored to be in the 8 to 10 million mark. And right now that just does not look like a good deal, especially considering the fact that for me, the games that Tom Holmes has played, he's looked better than McGuinness. To me.
Yeah, I mean he's not played as many games, but I mean he's an option to put in there. So whether he can play a part of the back four with Holmes or the lack of pace, or whether his back five is a different thing. But
I think Holmes is someone that needs to play in a back three or back five or whatever you want to call it, a back three. I think Holmes is someone that needs to play in that. I think McGuinness could be probably more suited to a back two or back four. Two central defenders, just depending on who your fullbacks are. I think McGuinness could probably be better in that situation. But I mean, it's. I think people will always try and say the board didn't back him in the summer just because the signings haven't exactly worked out because the team is doing so poorly and so badly. The board have obviously, I think, done what they could do that Edwards wanted, if that makes sense. Like there was obviously a lot of stuff going on during the summer where the club aren't going to play stupid fees for people that I'm sure Edwards would have liked, but
I don't think Edwards went to the board and said, I want this player and it's going to cost this much. I think Edwards was quite realistic and similar like when we went up to the Premier League. It's we didn't spend we did spend millions, but not sort of Premier League millions on players. We spent 20 million on players. I think that was basically the board and Edwards. They have this is our plan. So going forward, this is the kind of level we're at. It's not a case of Edwards saying, "Well, you've got this money. I suddenly want 30 million to spend on the player," because that's never ever going to be on the card.
Yeah.
So I think, therefore, people say the board hasn't backed him. I think that's unfair, and I think that's people just lashing out for tweets, likes, whatever. I don't think there's a player out there that Edwards has come out and said, "I think we should sign him." Realistically, that the board has said no.
So I don't know if I imagined this, but I want to say I remember something about when Barkley moved on to Villa. Everyone was kind of like, how do we only get 5 or 6 million for him? And basically, I'm guessing it was some sort of clause in his contract that allowed him to leave.
Yeah.
And the club said something along the lines of they recouped his wages. Right?
The recoups his wages. The club didn't say that. I think somebody else has said that. But it's
So if we take that into consideration that they recouped his wages, we got 6 million, I want to say, from him.
Yeah.
5. Let's just say 5, 6, somewhere around there.
5. His wages were probably about 2. I don't know.
No, but if Villa are saying here's 5 million that recoups his wages for the year that we had him, you're looking at him earning nearly 100 grand a week.
Mm-hmm.
Name me any, like the rest of the team, like half the team wouldn't have been like put them all together and they wouldn't be on that,
Right,
like,
the club. I don't think the club said we recouped his wages. I think other people said recouped his wages, and that was when it was kind of undisclosed going on. So I don't think the club has said that, and I don't think it's 100 grand a week.
It's always going to be that, but like it's always like the club don't release anything. But if we take that as truth that they recouped his wages,
right?
We're never going to come out.
We've taken some basically some speculative tweets from
uncertified,
other people not related to the club.
Uncertified
tweets from people not related to the club. We've then taken the fee, seems to be about 5 million. But we then put 2 together and said, okay, here is wages or something. This is absolutely ridiculous conversation.
No, but you think about it, like, if that is true, you're looking at him earning that much. You cannot turn around and say the board.
It's actually fucking bullshit.
You can't turn around and say the board aren't backing Edwards, which then just brings it back to the point of then Edwards needs to perform and get that team together because that team just has not been good enough this season, bar Watford. So, like, again, it comes back to it's not a case of the manager. It's a case of everything. I just fear now that the way he reacted after the Middlesbrough game is not going to help him going forward. Because I think there's going to be players in that dressing room. I think there's going to be players in that dressing room now that are just biding their time until he's gone.
In which case, those players should not be in the club. Those players should be saying, "What?"
Totally agree with you.
If there's players that are biding the time till he's gone, those players should be sort of having a look and saying, "Hang on, we got him into this situation. We need to get him out of this." Rob Edwards is an incredibly loyal manager to his players, and if players are actually letting down from that, I don't know which ones, then they need to be having a look and they need to be called out, because that's the team spirit is something that's actually got us up through through the leagues, up to the Premier League, against the odds and everything else. It's that team spirit. And if you've got players in there who aren't putting up to that, and I don't know if that's true, then they need to be having a look at themselves.
But it's like any job. Like if your boss turned around to you and said, "Hey, I want this report on the desk Monday," but you know his last day is Friday, and you know the new boss might not care about that report, are you going to do the report? Like you should. Don't get me wrong. Morally, you should. You should do the report to the best of your ability. But really, are you? You know the manager's not going to see it. You know he's going. Are you going to put 100%?
That's not really a realistic thing. If you know someone's going, they're not going to ask for a report by that point.
No, but you know what I mean. Like it could be, let's say he asked for a report by Monday and then he got sacked on the Friday. It could be anything. It could but you know that the sack is coming. You know, are you gonna give 100% to that report? I'm not.
I think we're reaching a bit with this sort of the stuff going on there.
Thrown out there. Like I agree with you. I think there's if players in that team are not given 100%, they need to have a hard look at themselves.
Right. I mean, what you've just described is basically the scum scenario, which is they've had players who could underperform under contract, under manager after manager, because they think, well, you know what? If we don't get a few results, that manager's gone. Someone else will come in. I'm still under contract. I still get paid. That's not us as a club.
Are we sure though?
Well,
like we're talking about players here now. We're not talking about managers. Like to me, I don't think Edwards has given up, but I think he's losing a lot of faith in himself and the team. But the players who are still going to be under contract, whether Edwards is here after Saturday or not, like realistically, do they care? They should. Don't get me wrong, but again, at the end of the day, they're footballers.
Okay, I mean, obviously we don't know. I mean, it could be injury things, but Mengi doesn't appear to be on it for whatever reason. Now, whether that's a hangover because he didn't get his move to Serie A, but the way he's playing on that, when you're thinking, if he's sulking because he didn't get that, the way he's playing, he's going to get a move to sort of, League Two at that rate, whatever. Well,
so I'm just going to throw this out here. You can agree with me or not.
I don't agree.
I know straight away you don't agree with me because it's me saying it.
Yep.
Do you think the back line that Mengi played in last year covered some of his weaknesses? And I'm thinking specifically Bell and Osho, or Osho and Burke.
I don't think so. I mean, obviously Burke's still there, so Bell is still there. Osho, a lot of people were unsure of him up until basically 2 years ago when he scored that goal. Then he became it, but Osho had mistakes in him, so it's Mengi is young and going towards that one. I think so. Yeah, every player's got mistakes in them, but I think you need that leadership alongside you.
The reason I ask is Osho is someone that to me was always seen very vocal on the pitch. And if you're Mengi, like I think he played well. I think he played really well last season, but he also had Osho beside him and he had Bell beside him, two experienced players. You look at some of the backlines he's been in this season. Tom Holmes is relatively young. Mark McGuinness is new to the new.
Hang on, Tom Holmes has got 100 championship appearances, so
he has. He has. You got that from me. But yeah, you did, because you said something. You said something about it on a podcast, and I said, "Hold on, he's played over 100 championship games. He's got championship experience." But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
This is someone who lives in a country that's just elected Donald Trump. If you say something often enough, it magically becomes true.
But now it's Mengi has all of a sudden become the more experience of that backline, you know. And when it comes to like Premier League experience and being in the team last year and whatnot, all of a sudden he's He's the one we're looking at, and I'm just wondering if maybe that's why I asked the question. Was some of his weaknesses covered over last year with Osho and Bell? Like we still lost every game. Like I will say one of the things that Mengi can't handle seems to be players backing into him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but players but like the Middlesbrough goal, the guy just backed into him and then turned, and Mengi was just left on his ass. I don't know what it is, but I've seen it a couple of times now. Mengi just doesn't seem to deal well with it. But I mean, does this come back then to our recruitment? Mengi's someone we recruited, and all of a sudden it doesn't look like he has the right attitude.
However, last year we recruited him as one for the future, and then he got into that team because of injuries, and he suddenly made that spot his own.
No, yeah, yeah, he did.
So that would tell you that had the right attitude then. Whether his head's been turned or whether it's injuries, it could be being too unfair on him.
I don't think Mengi's played enough this season for us to be judgmental.
Maybe we're judging him because he's not being as good as we expect him to be, and so therefore, this is a football thing. So let's not let's not fall too far into this trap. Let's not project our opinions onto players because they could be out of form.
I would agree with that. I think there's certain players that have definitely been underperforming. I think I've seen something the other day where Adebayo has one of the top 5 XGs, expected goals in the championship. Yeah. You look at the amount of goals he scored. Like you just kind of look at that and go, it has to. At some point it has to come. It has to for him.
He's scored 2 goals in his games getting there. So it was the confidence to try and get that there. But I mean, when you got expected goals, a striker with expected goals, that's the first thing you need to get.
Yeah.
The striker with expected goals is one's getting in the position. Of that, the finish is confident, but if they get in, I'd rather have a striker scoring 1 goal in 10 if he's getting into 20 goals scoring positions, rather than one who's scoring 1 in 1 if he's getting to 1 goal scoring positions at the same time.
Because as soon as that one opportunity dries up, you're screwed.
Yeah,
I get where you're coming from, but at some point you have to look at it and go, okay, the XG has to compare to goals. Like you can't keep saying your XG puts you in the top 5 in the league, but your actual goals is like 20th or 25th or whatever it may be. I don't think you can keep doing that. You need some sort of balance between the two. It doesn't have to be the exact same, but
I think last season his goals scored were probably higher than his expected goals.
Yeah, they were at one point. I remember. Yeah.
So it's just strikers. They go through phases, and it's they'll go through streaks, they'll go through droughts, and it happens with every striker as well. And it was, on strikers, I'm not entirely sure whether it's an attitude thing or something else, or whether he's fallen out, or whether it's just different plays of things. But people are saying Joe Taylor's the answer. He's not scored a single championship goal. He's got a good scoring record at League One, but that does not mean he's a saviour. I'd like to see him give him more opportunity. And it's strange he's not been in a couple of squads, but there could be something going on there as well.
Yeah, he could go out somewhere and prove me completely wrong, but I'm over the whole social media hype of Joe Taylor, dude. Like I'm just done with it. Like I know with the record we have right now and how badly we've been playing, it shouldn't be something that I'm saying, but I trust Edwards is trying to put out there his best 11. Mm-hmm. Who he feels is best 11 to give him a chance to win that particular game. And obviously everything comes into effect. Like Morris not playing against Middlesbrough not starting against Middlesbrough wasn't an eyebrow raiser. But you've got to think that Edwards was looking at that and going, he can't play 60 minutes. He can probably give me 30. And if I'm still in the game after 60 minutes, which we weren't, he can give me that 30 minutes and we can try push forward for a winner. Now at that point, I like, as you said, would you like to see Taylor give him more chances? Maybe that's the opportunity to give him. But to me, he gets shit on so fucking much. But Collie Woodrow, as much as Luton fans want to hate him, is a better replacement for Eloy or Carlton right now because of the way he plays.
Collie Woodrow actually has a really good goals for game ratio. Because
you keep saying this. You say this every podcast episode.
Because on social media, people sort of point out you get hatred coming out. So I like to try and put a slightly alternative view because I said it's easier to slag off this player, slag off that player. I know we've done that to a certain extent and know sort of, gone to it, but I don't want to try. I want the alternative view as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, playing the way Edwards wants to play right now, Woodrow's a better fit to that system. Like, I know this whole, you want Taylor's pacing behind. Like, that's only if you're getting flick-ons. We don't get flick-ons without Morris. Like, Morris tends to do most of the flick-ons. Eloy tends to be the one running in behind. Okay, so now you've got Eloy and Joe Taylor both playing together. The ball goes up forward. Both of them are making runs in behind. All of a sudden, there's no one there to flick the ball on. Woodrow will do that. Woodrow will get up and challenge for balls in the air and try to get that flick on. That's where you've got to play one or the other.
And then you also so is Joe Taylor a better player than Brown with the pace?
No, and here's the thing. Like, Brown's come back from injury and he scored 2 goals in how many games? Like, Brown's probably
including the winner against the Scum, or the sort of third against the Scum, and the winner against Cardiff.
And Brown isn't even talked about getting into the team right now. Why not? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're not playing Eloy or Carlton right now, and take away that everyone fucking hates Collie Woodrow for some reason, the obvious choice to go in there isn't Taylor. It's Brown. Like, that's your choice. There's your informed striker. There's your striker who came off the bench when he had to come off the bench and made an impact enough for Edwards to trust him. Joe Taylor.
I would personally have Taylor on the bench as well, because especially a couple of the benches where we've had about 1 billion midfielders who won't get on. You're thinking, right, if you've got 1 striker and 5 midfielders, you think there's something going on there.
I honestly think Pelly's on the bench right now just as a you've been such a great servant to the club. I don't think Edwards sees him in his plans at all. And I think he's on there just because Edwards knows how much he means, how much he's done and given to the club, that it's kind of like a, here you go, until he's finally sold on or let go or his contract ends or whatever. I honestly think that's why Pelly's on the bench right now. And I agree with you. I think putting Taylor on the bench instead of someone like Pelly might be the answer. Give you an extra option up front if you should need it. You have Taylor on the bench. But then at the same point, if you're 2-1 up going into the last 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and I know as much as Pelly has made mistakes this season, you're not going to bring on Joe Taylor to try hold a 2-1 lead. You're going to want Pelly. You're going to want Pelly on the bench to give you that energy and give you those legs.
Well, I mean, I think we saw Pelly in the Watford game. He came on a substitute there, so 2-0 up, and we were rocking slightly, and he came on and he steadied it superbly as well.
Yeah, like Pelly has his good games. Like, he hasn't been great, but he has. He should never be the defensive midfielder. He should always be like, if you're playing a defensive midfielder, he should be the player playing beside him. That will give you that box-to-box energy that, only Pelly can give you. But, I mean, again, you want him coming off the bench, not Joe Taylor. Now it's a case of, okay, well, how do you put both of them on the bench? And also fit probably, 1? So you need a goalkeeper. You probably need 2 defenders. Mm-hmm. You're talking 2 strikers. And then you're talking 2 midfielders. So Pelly being one of the midfielders, but then you're looking at all the midfielders we have. That would mean not putting on the bench someone like a Walsh or a Baptiste or Nakamba. Because they're the players that don't seem to be getting into the team right now or are in and out of the team. You're talking like, I don't disagree with Taylor being on the bench, but if you're only having one option for a striker right now and you're playing Eloy and Carlton up front, the option coming off the bench has to be Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think there's always a bench you look at and think there's someone going to be subs not used. One's normally the goalkeeper. But I think you look at the others and you want them you want your game changers rather than your players. So you don't want to overload players who aren't getting off the bench no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, I do agree. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that worries me now is we come back after this international break. We hope to be refreshed and we hope the players are going to give it their all, and they fucking should in front of a Kenny crowd that I'm sure will be lively or should be fucking lively.
I was just checking. I thought, right, there are 9 substitutes in the Championship.
There are 9. So, I mean, but 2 have to be Two have
Homegrown.
to be homegrown, right? So I mean, Pelly will probably fit as one of them now, right? He's been with the club for so fucking long. He should. He came up through the ranks of West Ham.
Mhm.
So, but I mean, my worry now is we go out against Hull and completely shit the bed, and all of a sudden we're looking for a new manager with Leeds and Norwich coming up, and it doesn't get any easier after that going into December.
Well, Leeds, I don't think it's anything. The other thing I'd say, we've said about people still playing their parts, the fans have been really bloody quiet the last few home games.
Yeah, but you've got to give the fans something to cling on to. Like last year, we were loud all year just because it was the Premier League. No one expected to be there. You know, this was like Christmas Day every day for us. You know, this year there was a lot more expectation. So you got to give the fans, you got to live up to that expectation. You got to give the fans something to cheer about. You know, and as of right now, bar the Scum result, we've not given them a lot to cheer about.
No, but I think when we're saying about sort of, I think there's a wise man once said the stronger the stronger the team. So you want your manager on it, you want your players on it, you want your fans on it. And if you've got your fans of, being nervous and quiet on that one, not making the place intimidating, that can feed through to players. Conversely, if you've got the fans being absolutely in the faces of the opposition, that then feeds through to the team as well.
Yeah, but we don't want Liam Welch doing that. He'll get sent off after 9 seconds again.
There is that. But I think that is important things. So, the fans do have roles to play. Our ground is absolutely fucking horrible to play in if you're in the opposition. If everybody's on it, if everybody's there, not making too much groaning, so being quiet, it's just a ground.
And here's your thing: like, if everyone's just quiet and groaning and whatnot, it's just, as you said, it's just a ground. But also, if it goes the other way, like if those players go in there on Saturday and can feel the tension in that stadium, that's not going to help them at all. And there will be tension. The players have been paid well enough that they have to deal with that. They have to get over it, and they have to just do their jobs. They have to tune it out to a certain extent until the fans do start getting behind them. But I mean, there is. You cannot tell me there's not going to be a tension in Kenilworth Road on Saturday.
Oh.
There's going to be a tension.
There's going to be tension. You just hope for a couple of early Luton goals to try and sort of ease the tension, and then after that couple of early Luton goals, we don't turn it into an Oxford game.
Yeah. I mean, I've said all season defensively we've been a shambles, which is surprising considering our manager was an ex-defender.
That's what you get for signing Irish players.
Huh?
That's what you get for signing Irish players.
Yeah, that's what we get for signing Irish players. That's what it is. I mean, I don't like. I will be honest in saying probably the only games I've seen from Mark McGuinness is any game he played against Luton before he signed for us. I'm hoping that they watched real footage of this guy because right now, like, I can't understand for the life of me why they signed him. I think there was one block against Scum. What's it? The block against Scum.
He had a great assist against Sheffield Wednesday as well.
That's his highlight reel for the whole fucking year. That's it. That's all he's done.
He's only been here 3 months.
You'd expect something more for the money you paid. That's like you buying a new car and going, well, I've only had it 3 months. Like, it's not going as fast or it's not driving as well as I thought it would. But I've only got it 3 months. I'm sure there's some kinks that I need to work out on it.
Again, that's a strange analogy.
I'm just saying. I like the strange analogies. But yeah, I mean, we've got to get back to fundamentals when it comes to defending. Stop being a shambles.
I think we just need to keep what people said. We need to turn up. We need to get back to. We showed signs against Cardiff. We need to be an absolutely bloody horrible team to play against. So we need the niggly players in there. So you need your Krauses, who can do it. You know, Cambers, possibly even your Pellies. You need the players who are going to be right in people's faces without getting sent off. Walsh, you've had that once, but it's but Walsh, I said, if he doesn't get sent off, he could be that type of player, that niggly, so I'm going to be in the referee's ear all game, that type of player.
So you just like you said there, you need them to be nasty, and against the Scum we were nasty. Like, it just came across that way. You look at even the celebrations of the players; it was like they were in their face. It was nasty. And then we just and Reece Burke even mentioned, I think the game before that or something like that, he mentioned in an interview, we need to go back to being us. We need to be we need to be nasty to play against. We need to be difficult to play against, you know?
Mhm.
And we were against Watford, and all of a sudden it was kind of like, okay, it resonated. We got it now. Against Middlesbrough, I mean, Jesus Christ, like...
I mean, that's the way it's a slightly different thing, but it's a similar principle, so...
Yeah, I like, we've just gone back to being nice again. We've gone back to being nice little Luton.
Yeah, and that needs to change.
It needs to change.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to change for this one game. It needs to change permanently. Like, we have to get back to that.
Yeah, we need to be suppressing, we need to be in people's faces, and if there's a turnover, we need to be back on it, trying to snap and win it back, and cut out that soft underbelly and just be right in people's faces. I mean, I think a lot of the games have been some, there's been some good approach play and everything else. It could be easy on the eye, but it's that crucial thing, and the crucial killer instinct, the crucial defensive blocks, that's where it's gone wrong. So, those crucial bits at both ends of the pitch. We've got some like the turnovers are one of the highest in the championships. So that side's there, but it's just as if you know what you do with it.
Yeah, we're not doing anything with it.
Anyway, how the hell have we been rambling for 50 minutes?
Fucking no idea. But I think that's where we end the podcast.
Yeah. I think it'll be because, you've got new presidents to prepare for and evacuate for.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Anytime. So, obviously we don't record these that often, so we normally do after wins. So I'd like to say everyone a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025.